I've heard it gives you an option to bail out if you want.
Yeah, it gives me an option to leave. Maybe I should.
Yeah, right.
That's my last chance. All right, I hit commit. We're in it now.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So how you been?
I've been really good, dude. I was just gonna say I really like the video. I like being able to like see your face and talk to you, and I do think it's more interesting for people to like watch or listen to.
Yeah, and I've been trying to do it more. I guess I could still do calls, just the audio is so much better on the computer for some reason. So
it is.
Yeah.
Do I sound okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Yeah, but
this is fun. I think it helps too, being able to see each other. Yeah,
I think so too. Yeah, because I mean, there's a lot that's lost over the phone, like facial expressions and body language and all that, and you get a little bit more of that with video. So
yeah, especially even when you're watching people you don't know too, because like
yeah. Well, because you don't know how to read some of those nuanced things.
Yeah,
when it's somebody you don't know.
Yeah, then you can put a face with a name and stuff. Plus, Chris, our cousin Chris, I mean, he's always a character, you know.
Who wouldn't want to show his face?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
that was a great one. I listened to that.
Thanks.
That was
yeah, he's always
podcast.
Great. He's always great to talk to. Plus, like, one time you'll talk to him, he'll have like the best mustache ever. The next time he's got a beard out to here, and you're like,
I know. Well, I was thinking about it before we did this, and like I'm always super excited to record with you, but I was thinking like, how on earth do I follow up Chris Schweitzer? He's like an expert in everything, and also the most interesting person I know.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I'm just
we
a guy
don't.
with.
Yeah, we don't have to ever post anything either, too. Though I'm just always excited to.
No, I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, sorry about that again.
No, not at all.
Good to see you. Good to talk to you. Sorry, it's been a little while. I've been super busy actually. In 2 weeks, I proposed my research, so that's like the end of my PhD.
I feel like every time I talk to you, you're at the end of your.
Well, this is actually the end. So
I'm graduating. I'm graduating again.
I'm graduating for the third time. No, this is actually end. So the way that it works is, you have to propose your research to your like committee and to the official graduate school, and then they accept it or disprove it. I already know it's going to be like accepted. It's going to be fine. But it's like a 2 hour and a half presentation in like a 60-page paper, and they kind of pour over that. And then when they say, okay, you're good to go ahead and do that, and then you defend. So then I will defend in like May. So I'm proposing. So when you defend for like a PhD, basically that's the proposal is like, this is my idea. This is kind of what I want to do. Yeah. And then the defense is showing what you did and why and how it's
okay.
How it contributes. So like defend as in kind of like in a court, how you defend, like you have a set of ideas and you've done some work and now you're like validating the reason why you did it.
So can you share what you're proposing or no?
Yeah, I mean, to someone like that doesn't talk to a lot of those things, it seems like a bunch of jargon. And so I've been working on that robot, like in short, still the whole thing's on this robot.
I know. But like for people that don't know who you are, this sounds even better. I've been working on this robot.
On this little palm-sized robot.
These aliens came to my house and exactly. In my backyard, we've been working on this robot.
And I've been working on my PhD for 3 years.
Well, of course they're not going to turn down that proposal when it's a robot.
No,
who can turn that down?
Who could turn that down? I'm basically golden. No, so I mean, to summarize it for you, and if you post this, to whoever, the work is on. I was originally hired on as an engineer for this small origami shape-shifting sort of robot to be sent to the moon in like 2024. And I
don't think I've ever heard this. Like I hear you're working on a robot, and I don't think I've ever heard it sound that cool before.
It's very small.
Shape-shifting robot that's going to the moon.
Yeah. Oh, I feel weird always talking about it because it feels very.
I'm working on a transformer.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the way it sounds.
Yeah.
So I don't love to. I don't know. It's just weird for me. It's hard for me to talk about myself. And then it's also hard to talk about the work that I do because it sounds so lofty just because of all the words that I have to use. So I want to
hear more. I want to hear more about this robot.
So that's the robot. And the goal, also, I have a little bit longer today than I thought. So no rush.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why is it going to the moon?
To explore. It's one of NASA's robots.
What's it looking for? Do you know?
Life, man.
All right. Good.
Aliens.
Good. I mean, are they looking for like water or just looking
people.
For whatever?
Oh, well, okay. So there are parts of the moon that nobody has explored yet. There's some really...
Like the backside? The dark side of the moon?
The dark side. Well, have you ever seen that Transformers movie?
Oh.
We've already been there.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we've already been there.
I haven't seen that.
There are some like lunar pits that are very deep that people have not been able to go into. That could have been caused by like asteroid impact or whatever. Yeah. And so that's like a high area of interest when it comes to those things, because nobody really knows what's down there. And the challenge with that is how do you get something into one of those and withstand a fall so that, you know, it can continue to explore, do whatever it's been doing at the bottom. And so, yeah. So the point of these little robots was, okay, they're relatively cheap to manufacture. I think the one I have now cost them, I think it was like 30 grand, which seems like a lot, but in the scope of like NASA's budget, it's hardly anything.
Yeah.
It's a drop
in your
in the
profession.
Bucket. Yeah, you know me. And so the idea was to take like 10 or 20 of them, outfit them with like little tools. So one might be digging, a couple might have cameras, one might be doing sampling stuff, and they all go out and they all fall down like an area that we haven't been able to go in. So like a lunar pit, impact at the bottom, and then see what's down there and get the first ever pictures of whatever's down there. And so they came up with this idea for one, and it's shape shifting because it can like fold and change. It can change shape, and that kind of lets it go on different terrain pretty easily. And so my whole objective at the beginning was, how do you make these robots hit at the bottom and not break? How do we like keep them going? And so that was originally what I was hired on to do.
How can they? I thought gravity was a lot less up there. So it's like, wouldn't the impact not be that much?
It wouldn't be that much, but we were designing for a maximum of 100 meters. Okay. Which is 328 feet. So even on with lunar gravity, it's still pretty significant.
I see.
And so,
well, this sounds actually super awesome. Shape-shifting robot to go into the lunar pits.
It's shape-shifting, so it's like origami based. So they have panels and they have joints and hinges. And so the idea is when you're going to the moon or into space, mass and volume are two things that you really, really want to consider, because like for every gram of weight that you include on a rocket, that's X number of dollars of more fuel that you have to use to propel it up there. It's just very valuable. And so in order to save mass and volume, if you could take a robot and fold it up to go up, and then it can unfold at the top, you're saving a lot of resources in space that way. So
nice. That's cool.
So that was the goal. So it was originally that, and then it morphed into, all right, so I've looked at this one robot. What can I generalize for future robots of this similar type? And I'm kind of like outlining a set of rules by which like a future engineer could begin to design like one of these structures for not only for drops, but for like vibrations in general. So
I like it. So it's a team of shape-shifting robots.
Team of shape-shifting lunar robots, man.
For some reason I picture it. Do you ever play that old computer game, Zumbinis?
No.
Oh, okay.
What is that?
I don't know why I played it. You create this team of like Zumbinis, and they're little creatures, and you can make them however they want. And they all they basically just look different. I don't know that they do different things.
I'm looking up what a Zumbi. I have no. Oh my gosh, dude! I did play this.
The
little blue guys.
That's kind of what I'm picturing, except in robot form. So like,
I think it's pretty similar. There's hardly anything different.
They'll have to make pizzas for some guy up there. Someone will get killed in that, you know.
Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, so that's really been taking up most of my time lately, is kind of prepping for this proposal. And then I do other things too. I still work on the side, and I grade for 2 classes on the side. And I'm also married, and I do a church and a Bible study and a men's group. And so
all that. Yeah, I don't have many of those excuses, especially I'm building a robot. That's kind of one of the best excuses.
That's the big one.
I've been busy. What are you doing? I'm building a robot.
Just trying to see what's on the moon. What have you been up to? But yeah, how have you been? What's up with you?
Good. Yeah, I have not been building robots. That's for sure.
You've been doing a lot of podcasts though.
I've been trying to.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna try to, because last year I hardly did any. I don't know what I was doing last year. Like I said, it was just a weird year. But then, yeah, this year I just, since the beginning of this year, I mean, I know it just started. Just thought, well, I'll try to actually be more like proactive and like actually try to reach out more to people and make more of an effort, which is still kind of hard because it's just hard to find time and then schedule stuff. Yeah, and so I'm still kind of learning all that, but then I just thought, well, I'll do a Zoom call. Basically that girl Emily, like, that kind of started it. I don't know if you saw that video.
Yeah, I did. I watched it. I didn't know who it was, and so
I joined the Paul Vanderklay. You might have listened to a few. Yeah. So I joined this Discord server he created. It's full of just like, I don't know how many people in there, probably 1,000, maybe 1,200. I don't know. There's a lot of people in there. And so I'm not on there much because they just have so many different threads. It's just kind of hard to keep up with.
Yeah.
But then he posted a video where he was talking to her. And so then
that's cool.
Yeah, and then I saw another video, which then he linked a video with her and this other guy, Chris. So then like I clicked on that one, and then I left a comment on Chris's video and said I'd be interested, like I'm kind of interested to see if there's similarities between fasting and psychedelics. And he was like, well, message her because she was wanting to do this same thing. And so then that got me to like look into Zoom, because before, like, I don't know why I heard somewhere that Zoom did not record stuff, or like unless you, or it recorded only up to 40 minutes max.
I've heard that too.
Yeah, but I think that's only if it's idle. Like if you.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, because then I looked at it again, and it just records however long I wanted so far. So, because the one
that's awesome.
I talked to her for, I think, over an hour or something.
It was over an hour, yeah. And I know I've heard that before, that either like unless you paid a lot of money for it, that you couldn't record. Yeah,
what's this rumor? I don't. Yeah, like it's weird.
I don't know. I
never tried using it before, but then I got on here and I'm like, you just click a button and it does it. And I was like, oh, except it was sometime this week. I don't think it was last night. I talked to Craig, and he was doing the screen share thing, and I was like, how are you doing that? And he was like, it's just screen sharing. And I'm like, I don't know how to do any of this stuff, man.
You'll be a pro. That's at the bottom. That's in green.
Yeah, I see it there. But so like, I'm afraid to click it because I'm afraid I'll screw something up. Let's see. I don't have anything to share anyway, so I don't know. But I'll figure it out if I need something interesting to share.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that's about kind of all I've been doing. That and work. I mean, work's still been really busy. So then
that's what your dad was telling me.
Yeah,
when we saw you guys last. He said you guys are swamped.
Yeah.
So I guess that's kind of a good thing.
Yeah, it's been really good, but yeah. So then doing these, as long as I can schedule them late enough in the day, it's usually fine. Because if I gotta go to Sevierville, I can get back.
Gotcha.
And I just can't. A lot of times I can't get back before sometimes I can't get back before 7, maybe even later. Yeah. So yeah,
gotcha.
I'm trying to. It'll be nice to find people like more west, so the time zone will end up.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that.
You should. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's 3 hours to California.
Yeah,
because the guys I work with are, so I don't know. But also, by the way, if you do want to go see old Peterson with me, I would love for you to come.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. That's March 6th. It's in Charlotte, so I know that's a ways for you. So we could talk about like logistics or whatever.
It's not too far. Is it Charlotte's?
I think it's like 5 hours for you.
I'm trying to think. I always get confused. Yeah, that's not too bad. I can do that.
But we could figure it out, driving and stuff. But that makes me really excited that you're good to come with me, man.
Yeah,
it was such a surprise that she got it for me for Christmas.
Yeah,
and it was 2 tickets. And
that's crazy.
So yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for when he starts getting into Exodus also. But
me too.
I don't know when he'll do that. But yeah. So what do you want to talk about anything in particular? No.
Well, we got a couple things on the docket, don't we?
What's that mean?
Well, there's a couple things that we've talked about talking about.
Yeah.
We just haven't actually talked about.
Yeah.
Golden Keys, one of them.
Oh yeah, dude, we could talk about that. I'd love to hear your thoughts on
Contraception
that.
is another.
Do you got all these pulled up here? Share the screen.
No, those were the two that I just remembered.
Yeah, I do remember that. We've talked about contraception before. It gets kind of crazy, a little dicey. At least it gets dicey around people I know. But
yeah,
I do really want to hear your thoughts on Golden Key, though.
All right, let's talk about the Golden Key. I gotta refresh myself.
Or-
I re-listened to it a couple weeks ago.
Or you can tell me what you think about contraception. Either one you want to go with here.
Let's go with the Golden Key.
Okay. All right.
When was the last time you read it?
I read it. I think it was the towards the end of last year. I think.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it hasn't been super recent, but.
Do you remember it well?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I actually have it with me. It's in my book bag.
Oh, cool.
I don't know why I grabbed it. I think I have it. No, it's no. Yeah, I do have it here. Yeah. So I got it. I got my copy.
Yep.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I don't know. Go ahead, man. What did you think?
Oh man,
it's George MacDonald. He wrote this book. It's
yep.
Golden Key. Yeah,
it's great. I'm just gonna like preface this with my thoughts are just from some guy that read the book that likes it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I'd probably get more out of it if I were like a literary expert or something.
Yeah.
Or if I'm extremely well read, but I'm not, and so. This is just coming from, my opinion. I really liked the book. Couple of things that jumped out to me was one, it felt very, and that was the third George MacDonald book that I've read as well. I like his kids. Yeah. I did the cool. Day Boy and the Night Girl.
Oh, really?
And the Light Princess. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
So those are great too.
Yeah.
But I think the Golden Key was my favorite out of those three. And I felt like the entire time as I was reading through, there was a lot of meaning to everything that I was missing out on. I felt like every single line in that book was symbolic in some way.
Yeah.
And it wasn't surprising to me at all that he was, the inspiration for many huge writers. It read very similar to the ways like Lewis wrote or something, and I could tell that it was very deep and profound. So
yeah,
those are my general thoughts.
Yeah.
What about you? Like a high level overview. What do you think?
Yeah, it's tough. Like I said, I think I told you that before. Almost every time I read that story, it's just a short story. So it's just, like maybe in my book, which is like this size, it's and the font's like this big.
Yeah.
So it's like 30 something pages long. Like it's because this book has like 4 different stories in it. So yeah, that's where it ends. So it's just like the beginning part. But so it's really short. But every single time, like, dude, it makes me cry. I don't know why, and I wonder. It like
it
you
made
said,
me really emotional too.
Yeah, it's got this like you can tell there's like symbolism in it, but I love what he does. It is like you can't put your thumb down on any of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it kind of like you'll be like, oh, this could mean this, and then it as soon as you try to grab it, it like kind of like he'll say something else about it, and you're like, okay, it doesn't. I mean, which is like it's really nice in a way because you can just read the story instead of trying to like make it it something. You just kind of have to read it and enjoy it, and then but he does stuff to like the way it almost feels it's very easy to read. So it's like there's not a lot of crazy vocabulary or anything, but it almost feels like the way I have this feeling that it's kind of like some sort of tapestry or something. Like because there's the thing with the rainbow, and that's like kind of woven throughout the whole story. I'm sorry, I think thought I heard one of the dogs or something. I don't know. So basically, I mean, we can just give spoilers, I guess. I don't know.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been out for how many hundreds of years
over
now?
100 years. Yeah. Go get the book. Stop this. Read it if you want to read it, which I suggest doing. It's really good. But so basically, it's the guy. It's about a boy and a girl, and I really, honestly, like, I think if anybody's lost anybody in their life, I think they should read this story because it's just like it does something with your. I don't know how to describe it. I wouldn't say it does something with your imagination where it lifts it. It's more just like it kind of it almost like suspends your imagination in a way and lifts you up in hope. If that's, I don't know if that's the right way to put it, or at least it's what it does for me. Like it's got this lofty hope where the story just kind of carries you up. And that's all. That's, I don't know a better way to describe it. Because basically the boy, so I can give this over
Yeah,
the boy.
give the
The over the summary. So it's this guy and this girl, and so it starts out with a boy, and he starts asking his aunt or something is telling him about this key, this golden key, and she says you'll find it at the end of a rainbow, and he says maybe it's the rainbow's egg. She says perhaps it is. So basically, he goes out into the fairyland or whatever and finds this golden key. He falls asleep on a bed. There's like these threads too. Like he falls asleep on a bed of moss. His nickname is Mossy. Because he sits on moss and reads a lot, so the kids call him that. So anyways, he finds the key. Then it kind of cuts to this other part of the story, and it's this girl, and she gets scared by these fairies play a trick on her. She like runs out into the woods, into fairyland, comes to this lady's house. No, she ends up following this fish. So she sees this fish, and it says that it has bright colors, and it's kind of this rainbow fish, and it's flying in the sky. It's just weird stuff. But then, so she follows the rainbow, basically. She follows this fish. It leads her to this lady's house. And then the boy that ends up doing the same thing. I think he falls asleep and then wakes up and sees a fish also.
The girl, what's her name? Tangle.
Tangle, yeah.
She meets the old lady, and then they make the dinner together. And then the old lady tells whatever her name is, grandmother tells the fish, go and find the boy, and then the fish goes and brings Mossy in.
Okay, that's right. So then she says they have to go find what the key is gonna open, basically. And so their journey, it's just this boy and this girl, and they just walk and walk and walk, and then they get separated in the land where the shadows fall is what it's called. It's really intriguing. And so they're walking through this valley, and they're seeing all these shadows that just are cast on the ground from all these higher things, these things up above them that they can't see. All they can see is the shadows.
But they love them. They love the shadows.
Yeah, and the shadows are like lifting them to look up and like lifted. They want to find. That's when like they almost forget about the key for a moment, and they're like, we need to find this land where the shadows are coming from. This land. I mean, it's so incredibly profound. It's like that's what we're living in now. Yeah,
I know.
It's like I know you can pick up on it. I know you can. So basically, it's like we see the pattern of the heavenly things now. So we're living kind of in a land of shadows now. So but anyway, they get separated there, if I'm remembering right, and then
I think so.
They get split up, and then she goes and she finds the old man of the sea, and then he tells her to go find the old man of the earth. She goes, then he tells her to go. Am I getting that right?
Yes.
The old man of the. And then is there only one more?
There's the old man of the fire.
Yeah, right. And that's the last one, I think.
No. Right? Oh no.
I can't remember.
Maybe it is just 3. I think it is just 3 old men.
Okay. Yeah.
The water.
The water, the earth, and then the fire.
Then the earth, and then the fire. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
And as she goes to each one, they're older but they're younger. And the last one's a child, which is really weird too. Yeah.
That is when the story for me took like a weird turn. And I like took a step back. What am I reading? You know?
Yeah. It's like, it's weird. It's like she's, it's this childlikeness or something. Like if you read, like, as you continue to read more of his writings, like George MacDonald's writing, you'll notice like there's certain things. I don't know if you call them even archetypes for him or what you'd call them, but there's certain characters like the grandmother. Is in other stories than just that one. I don't know if she's in the Day Boy and Night Girl. She might be in that one too. I don't know. I don't think she is though. But anyway, so to get back to the golden key. So then after she goes, basically keeps going down into the heart of the earth, and then he draws out a serpent and it slithers off, and he says, "Follow that serpent." And so she just says she walks and walks and walks. And then it cuts back to the boy, and he's basically looking for her and he can't find her. And then he finds the old man of the sea, and he says, "Can you tell me to the old man where the old man of the sea is?" And he's like, "I'm him." And he's like, "Well, you look young." And he's like, "You see me better than most do." And I don't know, it's just weird
stuff like that, man.
Yeah, it's like these weird little hints, and you're like, what am I supposed to make of this? You just gotta chew on it. And from what it anyway, so then the old man, instead of sending him down to meet these other people, he makes him walk across the ocean, basically. and says, just start walking across the sea. Because I think he sees the rainbow way out across the ocean. And so he starts walking towards it.
Yep.
And then I think it disappears. Then eventually he finds, sounds like he comes to some rock, starts climbing up it, and finds the hole for the golden key. He puts it in and turns it. The steps fall down in front of him. He walks up, and like in this cave is Tangle, and she's sitting there, and her hair's like really long because she just looks at him and she's like, I've been waiting for you for such a long time. And then I can't remember. There's some other keyhole in there, and he puts in the key, and
there's pillars too, right?
Yeah,
like
there's
7 pillars of all the colors of the rainbow in that room.
Yeah, and then he's something like that, and then he's like, but there's this one color that they had never seen before, or something like that.
He could, yeah, that's a color that he couldn't recognize her name that he saw at the rainbow at the very beginning of the story.
Yeah, something. Yeah, and so he like just ties it. This story is amazing. Yeah, and then he turns the key, and then if I remember, then I think it opens up like basically the rainbow, and they just go up and. Let me read the last part. I'll just read it.
Yeah, please do.
It's so good. Let's see. I think it's good. Maybe other people.
I thought it was.
All right. He took his key. It turned in the lock to the sounds of Aeolian music. I guess that's how you say it. A door opened upon slow hinges and disclosed a winding stair within. The key vanished from his fingers. Tangle went up. Mossy followed. The door closed behind them. They climbed out of the earth and, still climbing, rose above it. They were in the rainbow, far abroad, over ocean and land. They could see through its transparent walls the earth beneath their feet. Stairs beside stairs wound up together, and beautiful beings of all ages climbed along with them. They knew that they were going up to the country whence the shadows fall, and by this time, I think they must have got there. And that's just how it ends.
Love it.
I know, dude. It kind of leaves you with that. What does C.S. Lewis say? Further up and further in, or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, what are your overall impressions? Like, what do you think the story is about? Do you know?
That was a great synopsis.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Well, I like what you said, that you think if anyone's lost someone, they should read the story, because I mean, I completely agree, but it definitely leaves you with a feeling of like hopefulness.
Yeah.
And to me, it's kind of a hopefulness for something that you don't even understand, or you can't even put a word to. But it's just hopefulness that something is good, but you don't even know what that is. You see the shadows of it. I mean, I think good. It's pretty definitively allegorical. I mean, he was a believer, right? He believed in God, and I see a lot of those themes throughout the thing. So obvious ones, the place from which the shadows fall is kind of here. I kind of see the ascension up the rainbow as like the ascension to heaven. Fairyland I see as like because at the beginning his house was at the border of real Earth and Fairyland, and I don't quite understand Fairyland. I don't quite understand fairies. There's a lot of stuff there, and I know you've like
it's weird
learned about some of it.
Well, mostly through his writings, but in his writings they make sense. Like I'm like when he talks about fairies and Fairyland, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that exists. That makes sense. Like it's just it's hard to describe. Because they're the land of fairy. It's not just fairies in that. The fairies are in that, but it's kind of like nature spirits, things like that are involved. But it's, there's a passage in the book Phantastes where he talks about fairies.
Okay.
And when he describes it in that, it makes a lot more sense. It's basically, he said, it's kind of like the fairies of the flower is what he's talking about specifically in that one. But he's like the consciousness of the flower or something, like the intelligence of the flower. So if you had God and God created the logos, the word, it'd be something kind of like the word to the flower. What binds, it's the binding, what holds the flower together, the unity of it, what constructs the flower. So he's saying, like, if you were to take a flower and look at it and study every aspect of it, stare at it, almost let it speak to you in a way, like look at it, stare at it, like, I don't know. And then he said, and so if you could look at it like you would a house, and then kind of even think like, like Uncle Mark's cabin is the best thing I know. Like example, like you would just look at his cabin and think, what kind of man or what person, like, so you could say it's the person of the flower or personality of the flower in a way. There's different ways to say it, I guess. So like that's specifically, so I think the land of fairy is something that's probably not it definitely, but it's something akin to that. And you're kind of, you're opened up to kind of a more spiritual realm where you kind of can see the personality behind nature and stuff. Like people, I mean, people do that now and they don't even realize it. Like people will go sit beneath their favorite tree or something, and it's like, well, what's it about that tree that you like? Because it's probably motherly in a way. Like there's all these aspects of it that you don't even recognize, like that it's comforting, like I guess motherly in that it's comforting, it's like cozy, I don't know. So there's all, I think it's kind of like that, but then at the same time in the land of fairy, like there's, it's unpredictable too, because it's nature. And so it's dangerous, it's not really safe either. And fairies are mischievous and they'll play pranks on you and everything.
So it's not quite like the bridge from the physical realm to the spiritual realm. It's like,
it's not. It's its own separate thing. Like there's it is. I think it is a spiritual realm, but then at the same time, like I don't want to. Like it's one of those things you don't even really want to explain too much, because like I don't think you can properly understand it, and I feel like if you do, you'd probably lose it a little bit. And you don't want to. And I'm always hesitant to do that too, because I'm hesitant to over spiritualize things as well, because I would hate to say like you could never actually see a fairy, because I'm like, well, I've seen some strange stuff. And I'm like, and even if you're a Christian, it's like, if you believe in the incarnation, then you have to believe the logos can manifest. And I guess you would say the logos of the fairy or whatever, the person of the fairy manifest in the flower. I guess you could say that. But then I don't know. But then I think you could see behind the veil. I don't know. It's hard to say, because I mean I've seen spiritual stuff before.
Well, it kind of reminds me of like a few experiences I've had personally, and a lot of them do come from like being outside, or there is like that natural element to it. But have you ever had an experience and it meant something deeply to you, but you don't even know like what it meant? Does that make sense at all?
I mean, it makes sense when you say it. I can't think of one off the top of my head. Can you give an example?
So one discrete example. It wasn't me. It was a friend I was talking to.
Sure, it wasn't.
But this is where it really stuck out to me. Is he was telling me he was out in California or something, and he was out, and it was just kind of the wilderness, and they were camping, and there were fireflies like going back and forth and just kind of blinking for like repetitively back and forth.
Wow.
And he was just kind of sitting there for hours, and we were getting breakfast, and he told me, and I don't even know what it meant, but it meant a lot to me, and I will always remember that moment, but I don't even know what it means. I've got a few experiences like that too, where I just have memories that are very I don't know, very meaningful, but I don't even know why. And it kind of seems like why some of those experiences are meaningful is because you got like a little glimpse behind the veil, or
or at least
that there's something deeper, or you saw the manifestation of the logos, or you felt the manifestation of the logos, but you can't even wrap your mind around it. So, like you get that sense of deeper meaning and deeper knowing, but you don't even know like what it is, but it's there. I don't know.
No, I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
I've had
it's like there's something behind that moment. Like it's not it's not just random out in nature. Like there's something going on here. There's something in the spirit, I guess you'd say, behind all this. And I've always kind of felt in those moments, like I've been really hungry for those moments a lot lately, but I've always felt in those moments that it's some sort of like direct gift from God to me, just like reminding me of his presence. And it probably totally is. But in the context of like the fairy realm and the flower being the manifestation of the logos of something beyond, I think it definitely works in that, scenario too. Like there's that place where I go out and walk and read my Bible. It's like it's one of those things where I never see anything, naturally, like with my natural eye, but there's times where I go out there and like, and it's probably some nostalgia mixed in, I guess, and some just, but then at the same time, like,
but why is that invalid? I don't know. I think
yeah,
nostalgia plays a part in that.
yeah,
for
I
sure.
don't, I completely agree, because there's memory there, and so
Yeah.
there's memory, and but I really, really, like, I believe that, like, I really believe that there's a lot going on there. I think because maybe I've just gone there for probably at least 4 years now, and I'll just spend hour after hour after hour just walking those trails and reading the Bible, and I'll pray, I'll worship, but I'll just like go out there and I'm like, man, this place is just saturated with peace. And it really feels like there's angels out there. And I don't know how else to describe it. And they may not be like, oh, super high angels, or this is Gabriel and Raphael and all that or anything. It's just like there's like fairies, you could say, or like, if you look at it like a hierarchy, it's like fairies would be lower down, but it's like there's just this, and I don't know what else you would call that, like a presence of peace. I feel like you would call it angels in a way, like it's angel of peace.
I think so.
There's angels of peace out there, and it's just and it causes, it causes you to, I'd look up is probably not the right word. Like I would say look up, but I think it causes you to think higher, to think a little loftier, to think on higher things, rather than you forget for a moment, forget all the petty things we normally think about, or even like you can just be out there walking and you'll forget about even like food or anything. You just start like caught up in this like literally it's just like this presence of peace, or that's how it happens for me. So that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know if like everybody experiences that out there. They probably don't. So I think that's why some of it is like personal and memory that goes in with it. But like I said, I don't, like you said, I don't think that's invalid. But
I don't think that's invalid. But yeah, I mean, you said exactly what I was trying to say. Yeah, like that sort of experience.
Yeah, and there's something there, and you can't see it with your natural eye, but you know it's deeper than, like you said, it's deeper than a normal moment,
right?
And, and it sticks with you, and it's weird. Like you can't shake, like your friend with the fireflies. It's like he'll probably remember that till he dies, and it's like, why? Because like there's plenty of things I forget all the time,
right? And that doesn't even seem super meaningful either. I just that.
Oh, you saw a firefly? Cool, man.
Yeah, that's just that conversation specifically. I mean, that was years ago we talked about that, but he was like, and I don't know why, but that meant so much to me, and it kind of got me thinking. Like I have those too, and I don't know why. It's not necessarily a place, but it's been like specific moments, in specific places, and I can remember like the temperature, and I can remember what the sun looked like, and all the sounds, and I remember just being there in that moment and thinking this is really important, and I don't know why. It's kind of like you're walking through the land of shadows and you saw something and you love it, and you don't quite see it, and you don't quite understand it, but you want to get there.
Yeah.
Sort of
it's kind of like you could look at I was about to say a rock, but that's probably not a good example. Unless you really like the rock, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you might, I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking, so like I don't know, you see a birch tree or something, with like the white bark, and it's just like standing by itself, or I don't know, somehow it just pops to you, and like you said, you're just looking at it, and it's almost like that birch tree becomes the shadow, and you're like, okay, there's something even higher and more hopeful than this tree, something that keeps this tree together in unity, and whatever that thing is, like the tree almost is the shadow of the real, and you're looking for the land from whence the tree was created. Basically, the shadows fall. I think that's what he's kind of getting at with that.
I think that's what he's getting at. Too.
But it's cool. I got the impression that they died.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Okay,
I think they died. Yeah.
So it's this guy and a girl, and they're going through life together. And you could call them, I don't know that I'd call them lovers. You could just call them friends. It's just them together, and it's just two companions, I think is what I'd say. And that's why I'm like, man, if somebody's lost somebody, I think I think that's why it touches me too, though, is because like, I think I read it. Well, I read his stuff last year, but it's still like, I mean, I know it's just losing Verona, my dog. So it's like, it's just a dog to most people. But I think, because I've told you that before, at that time, it was like, she was Like
Oh yeah, I mean, I
like
know what Verona was to you.
yeah, like
Yeah.
my kind of my only friend, my best friend, like kind of like a child in a way too. I don't know how to call her wife, but it's like, it's like,
More,
kind
let's
of
stick with child. Yeah,
family
family.
basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And
For
so I
sure.
kind of lost all of my family. So I think that's why maybe I was still processing a little bit, like,
Mm.
and I probably still am. And so when I read that, it's kind of like that part at the end where she's just sitting there waiting for him. It's like, I've been waiting for you for such a long time. I don't know. It's comforting to think they get separated in the land of shadows, like we all will at some point if you're
Mm.
walking through this life with a companion, but then you'll end up together at the end, and then
Yeah.
just yeah. I don't know. That to me, I think it's nice too because it's just I feel like it's an easy book of his to digest because it's very easy to read and it's very short too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I completely agree. And I think that's where the tone of hopefulness comes from, is that they end up together and then they end up going somewhere, but you don't even know exactly where they're going, but they've probably made it, so they'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the tone that it ends on.
Yeah, he does that. He'll give you this taste for it, George
Yeah.
MacDonald. It's like here, like I'll leave you with this taste of this hereafter. No, I'll long for it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, so the boy goes and he goes to the rainbow. What's with the key? What do you think why is there key at all?
Oh man, that's a very good question. I never even thought of that. What do you think?
I don't know. I just thought of that. I
I
was
thought
just
that
thinking of the story in chronological order, and it all is because of the key.
yeah, she says, it's not a Christian story. Like it has Christian themes, probably an element. Like I'm sure it's Christianity bled into it.
Yeah,
It's not like
I'm
he
sure.
mentions God at all. And I wonder a little bit if the key has something to do with her.
Who? The girl?
Yeah. I
I
don't know why.
The boy's aunt at the beginning says, oh, I forget. What does she say about it? It's
You're,
better. He says, oh, I could sell it.
yeah.
He says, oh, it's better if you never find it than if you found it and you sold it.
Yeah, I think it says something like his father had a key like that at one point too, if I remember right.
Gotcha.
I don't know. Yeah, she says, there was a boy who used to sit in the twilight and listen to his great aunt's stories. She told him that if he could reach the place where the end of the rainbow stands, he would find there a golden key. And what is it for? The boy would ask. What is the key of? What will it open? Nobody knows, the aunt would reply. He has to find that out. I suppose, being gold, the boy once said thoughtfully, that I could get a good deal of money for it if I sold it. Better never to find it than to sell it, returned his aunt.
Yeah.
And the boy went to bed and dreamed about the golden key. Yeah. I don't know. It's just great. Let me see. I was trying to see if it says that yeah. Did you ever know anybody to find it? He asked one evening. Yes, your father, I believe, found it. And what did he do with it? Can you tell me? He never told me. What is it like? He never showed it to me. How does a new key come there always? I don't know. There it is. Perhaps it is the rainbow's egg. Perhaps it is. You'll be a happy boy if you find the nest. Perhaps it comes tumbling down the rainbow from the sky. Perhaps it does. It's just like, I love how he leaves you with questions. And you're just like, wait, like, I want to know, but I don't know what it is.
I don't know what the key is.
Yeah. I mean, you could, because you could say, oh, it's Christ, or try to make, but I'm like, I don't think he means it that way.
I don't think it means it that way either. I think it's pretty obvious that it totally could be.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like it's more subtle and nuanced than that.
Yeah, it doesn't seem, if I were to say, oh, the key is Christ, it doesn't seem to apply in that story. Because that story seems to be about a boy and a girl going through life together. And so
I think so.
Which, I mean, being a Christian, I would say, like, yeah, Christ binds all things together, of course, but like in that story, it's like there's it just doesn't really seem like that's what he was getting at with it. That's why I've wondered if it has more to do with the girl, because I feel like if it was Christ or some sort of aspect of like redemption and forgiveness, he would have played on that a little more, and he didn't. I don't think he really played on, or at least I didn't get the sense that he did.
I don't
Did
think
you?
so.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I think the only like pretty easy to spot symbolic thing going on with the key is the necessity for the key to get to the rainbow to then ascend the rainbow. The key was the link.
Yeah.
The key comes from the rainbow. His father had the key, and through the key, he was able to access the rainbow himself.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know if that. I don't know if it's Christ, but it totally could be, and I see how those influences are there.
Yeah, I just feel like if somebody went around saying it's Christ, it would almost kind of take away from the story a little bit.
Oh, I agree. I agree. Yeah. Well, I think a part of it is certainly, and this might be super off, but I feel like a part of it is the beauty, not just like in the destination of the rainbow, but of the entire journey and the mystery of the journey, and not understanding everything, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that was the thing that stood out to me, was because it was very mystical and I had no idea what was going on through the whole story. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah.
But he puts it in a way where at the end it's all okay. And it was all good. Even the parts that didn't seem good. Like, it was, you can in retrospectively see this was one heck of a journey, right? And I feel like that's the way that life kind of is. And so for the same reason, I don't really want to put a label on the key itself, because I think that takes away part of the mystery, and the mystery is part of the fun. Mystery is part of the adventure.
That's a good way of saying it. Yeah. He leaves you with this mystery, and it makes you think about it more. Like when you're done reading the book, you just sit there and you're like, okay, it sticks with you because you got to think about the mystery of it. Like, why is it so?
Yeah, exactly. So let's keep going through. So he finds the key, right? And then it jumps to Tangle at the grandmother's house. You said she's like a kind of a recurring the archetype of a
the grandmother. Okay, yeah. She's in Fantasties more than once. Like, I don't know, I didn't pick up on it the first time I read through Fantasties. It was at least second time, maybe the third time. I read through that book 4 times last year. Yeah, but she's it's kind of the mother. Like, you could say it's the divine mother. You could say it's Eve almost, in a sense. Or Mother Earth, you could even say. It's this kind of the spirit of the mother, I guess, manifesting in his story in different areas. And so she's in that one. She's in what's the Princess and the Goblin, I think.
Okay.
There's a kind of the same figure in there. There's another short story called The Wise Woman, and I didn't get the impression that the wise woman in that story was quite the same.
Interesting.
She wasn't. She could have been, but she was definitely more this character, like the grandmother in this, and in Fantasties, almost feels like overwhelmingly comforting and just like so homely, and just you encounter her and you just want to stay there, and she gives you hot food and a bed, and you're just like, this is the rest I needed. And the wise woman, and it doesn't feel the same way in that story. So it's kind of, I'm not really sure, but so the Tangle, she's in her house, and then the fairies come and they like scare her, and so she climbs out the window and runs into fairyland. So what do you think of her? What do you think of her name? Do you think there's anything to that?
Oh, Tangle?
Yeah.
I haven't really thought about that. What do you think?
I'm not really sure what to make of it. I think it says
it was because her hair was all matted, right?
Yeah, and she's untidy.
Because no one brushed her hair, and she was untidy. Oh, that whole thing was interesting about how fairies hate untidiness and uncleanliness.
Yeah. So she was like uncared for in a way or something.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to think like too deep or read in too much.
Yeah.
But some things are pretty obvious, it seems like. But to be characterized to have your identity be like a adjective that signifies your unkemptness seems pretty degrading. But then at the grandmother's house, she fixes her hair and dolls her up and makes her very nice and clean. But the name sticks, which is also interesting.
Yeah. It's weird because I don't even know if he's that intentional about it. Like
I'm not positive.
I feel like he probably just writes the story and enjoys writing it, and it's like, oh, her name's Tangle, and it just works because he's just. I mean, I could be wrong on that. Maybe he's very intentional. Be like, I need to call her Tangle for this reason, so that way it'll.
Yeah,
come
I don't
across
know.
As the, I'm like, I don't. Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah, and that's why I hesitate to read too much into it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's possible to get things out of and learn lessons out of things that were never meant to be lessons in the first place, right? I think that's totally valid. And so I wouldn't discount it, even though we think he might not have meant it in a certain way. I thought the grandmother seemed, when I was reading it for the first time, I immediately thought of, it really seemed to me that the grandmother was the personification of just the feminine, big F, capital F.
Yeah. Big F.
The feminine, the feminine spirit. And so, yep, exactly.
Right.
I want to do something. I want to do something bad. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. So I'm at that idea that you've talked about, that I've wrapped my head around the masculine and the feminine and the Mother Earth, and then she had the green dress, and she had another bed of moss for her to lay down on.
She never wore shoes too.
She never wore shoes. Yeah. She talked with the fishes. She talked with all the animals. And then when Tangle was able to drink or eat some of what she had prepared for her, she too was able to understand what all the creatures were saying. Yeah, that made a lot of sense to me.
So what did you think of the fish? And the fish turns into an errant. I think it says later.
And it doesn't tell you what it is.
Yeah, it's like, that's what I am. I'm an errant. And you're like, what? But so what do you think of that? Is it because it flies out the window, and then aren't they supposed to follow it or something?
I think so.
I can't remember.
Yeah. Well, so at first I immediately noticed the theme of the rainbow going through the entire story. Yeah. So Mossy goes to the base of the rainbow, and then Tangle follows the rainbow fish. And then it might just be because I've listened to too much Jonathan Peugeot or something, but when all the fish were arguing about who's going to be the one to be eaten, every single time I hear anything like that, now I immediately think of martyrdom and hierarchies and things like that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, but it says that.
Yeah, no, it does.
Because it says the high. I think it says that he makes some comment like the highest good an animal can attain is to be eaten by a person or something like that.
Yeah,
and it's something
basically that.
When I first read it, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. I'm like, oh, that's pretty sad. But then you think about it, if you really, really keep chewing on it, you're like, that is kind of the highest good. And we should kind of desire the same thing too. To offer ourselves as a sacrifice. Like Paul said, I'm already being poured out as a drink offering.
Yeah.
Like to kind of give ourselves in the same way. It's like the giving tree or something.
Yeah, it is like the giving tree. But so I mean, anytime I see anything like that, I think about how
that's good.
Nice. Martyr's at the top of the hierarchy, and then comes some transformation into something.
Yeah, because they eat the fish. Well, yeah, it's weird because they eat the fish and then it plops out of the pot.
Yep.
And it's like it's already eaten, but it's not eaten at the same time. It's like transformed in the pot, and then it comes in. It turns into this. It sounds like some sort of glowing light fairy thing or something.
That's what I was kind of picturing.
Yeah, I don't know what exactly is here. I'm gonna hold this up. I don't know if you'll be able to see it because this guy, someone did artwork for this. I don't know who did the artwork, but it's pretty cool. But can you see that? So she's holding it.
Oh, that is not at all what I was picturing.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's naked.
I know it's a little naked.
It looks like a little naked human. That's cool though. That's cool.
It looks like a little angel is what it kind of looks like. And I'm like,
it does.
But I don't know if I pictured it that way when I read it, but I kind of pictured, like a little fairy light or something. I don't know. What do you call it?
Yeah. But I definitely saw the theme of martyrdom being like the passage between an ordinary fish and something extraordinary that can lead the way. So What do you think about that?
I don't know. I kind of wonder what that was. Like, I don't know. Cause yeah, like you said, it's interesting because they follow the fish and it's like this rainbow. And so in my mind, like whenever I see the rainbow thing, and I don't know if this is in his story or not. I have no idea, but I always think about the throne of God. Because I like Book of Ezekiel, and so it says like when he sees the throne of God, he says it's like encased in a rainbow, basically. Like there's a rainbow wrapped around it. So I don't think that necessarily like, oh, it means that, but it's kind of like lingering in the back of my mind, if you know what I mean. Like kind of like this connection of like the highest good or something. In a way, I don't really know. So, but they're following these little fish that are like that, but then these fish transform into this light thing, this little creature of light that she throws out the window into the darkness. And then you don't really hear about him again until later. And then I think the girl encounters it after she gets lost in the land of shadows and has to go through some crevice, some cave. And I think that's when she encounters it. And then him.
Yeah, and it guides her with its light. Yes.
Yeah. And then the
lights the
boy,
way.
when he's walking across the sea, it's like beneath him in the water and he doesn't even know. And it's guiding him the whole time. Yeah, it's really weird. I'm like, I don't, but I kind of like like you said, the mystery of it. You're like, it's relatable and you don't know how. You're like, oh, I know that. I think I have one of those. I think I have one of those errands. I know it's there, guy, like somehow pulling me through all this trudging along in this life, especially the dark places. And you're like, yeah, but you can't.
But you don't even know what it is. You don't even know what it looks like. Yeah, exactly. That's cool. That's a cool reference with Ezekiel. I like that a lot.
Yeah,
that's something I'm gonna have to chew on.
Yeah. So then they go out. So what did you think of the because if I remember it, they go out and they walk through the forest for a while and then they come to, it sounds like it's a big open desert. Am I picturing it right? Where all the shadows are on the ground.
I kind of pictured a big desert. Yeah.
So what did you think of that?
I think so. So
do you think there's any similarities? Like we said, there's still a mystery to it, obviously.
Right. But they're walking along and they come to the land where the shadows fall and they see things like on the walls and on the ground and they don't know what it is, but they love it. And then they just get separated. That's the entire experience there, right?
Yeah. Well, I think it says they see the shadows and it's almost like the shadows aren't even necessarily on the ground, if I remember right. Some of them will be thicker and then they'll see shapes and then they'll see like all of a sudden horses, and the horses will kind of like, and it's almost like the shadows it's like they're almost tangible or something in a way, because it's like they get thicker and more. I don't know, the way he described it is kind of obscure but and weird. I don't know, but and then like you said, and then I think that if I remember right, they get separated. So what
do I think about that?
Again,
just not as a literary professional or anything.
Me either.
I guess it kind of still plays with that idea that I told you about of like sensing meaning and sensing something that is beyond you and having an understanding of meaningfulness and something good, but not being able to characterize what it is or why. And to me, I mean, as a Christian, that idea means a lot to me because it's almost as if you get like a little glimpse into the character of God and you're not able to, it's something so far beyond what you can understand that it doesn't make sense to you and you can only describe it abstractly, if that makes sense.
No, I like what you mean. I think I understand. It's like he's like writing some sort of in like a poetic language of some sort of inner intuition. It's not that you can't quite get consciously or something. Like, you can't quite get with your mind, I guess. Can't quite.
So this might not make any sense, but I think of like if you're at the end of your life, right, and you were to watch a video, just like a silent video of moments in your life. So it's just like you getting your first award somewhere, and then it's like you getting yelled at, and then you meeting your spouse and having your first kid, and then all the funerals you went to, and just like little bits and pieces, and like the good things and the bad things. I think that there would be a theme that would underlie like all like the mundane parts of life, just sitting and with someone you love and just watching a or something. There would be a theme that ran through that. It would make you feel a certain way, but I don't even know if you could put words to it.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense at all?
Yeah.
And
no,
I think
yeah.
I think the realm in which the shadows fall is something kind of similar, where you've got all these bits and pieces of a life that has been going by, and you love it, and there's the good and the bad, and but the theme that runs through it is that like this is all beautiful and this is a gift, sort of a thing. I don't know.
That's a great way of putting it.
That's kind of how it seems to me.
That's a great, yeah, I like that. That's a really good way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a great way to describe it. Yeah, I don't know. So what did you think? This is probably going to be, this might be a dead end question. What, are there any thoughts on why she had to go like to the heart of the earth? And
I don't know. Well, gosh, that was going to be my next thing for you.
Okay. Yeah.
I thought that whole couple of like that whole chapter was so fascinating to me, when she jumps from old man of the sea to the old man of the earth to the old man of the fire.
Yeah. It's to me, it seems to be a return to childlikeness. Like there's the old man of the sea, and he's this really old man. And I don't know if that's something to say like you come to the, like he's on the edge of the world, right? He's at the sea. Yeah. So you're like kind of at the end, and he's this old man, and but then she goes to old man of the earth. He's even younger, but he says because the old man of the sea says, you need to see the old man of the earth. He's even older than I am. He might know where you need to go. Yeah. And then she gets to him, and he's younger. He looks younger than the. Yeah. And then when she gets to the old man of the fire, they say he's the oldest man of all. He'll know where you need to go. And she gets to him, and he's like a little child. And
it was like it was a naked baby playing with bowls, and she watched him for like 7 months. Do you remember that?
No, it was 7 years, I think.
Or 7 years.
She looked at him and then didn't realize she'd been watching him for 7 years before she spoke.
What does any of that mean?
I don't know. I think I get the impression she was already dead, because I think the old man of the sea says women are coming to me a lot quicker these days than men, and I don't know what that means. I kind of wonder. Does he say that? I think so.
Oh, interesting.
And I don't know if maybe there was like something going on at that time where like maybe women were dying younger. I don't know if he's intending to get that across. I have no idea what that means really. Let me see. White blossoming
That's plant. Really interesting.
The old man. It's beautiful. My grandmother's. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'll be able to find it.
That's totally fine.
Yeah, it's definitely. Yeah, so he goes basically when both of them, I think, right, when they get to him though, the old man of the sea, they have to take a bath.
Yeah, and
yeah. And it's kind of like some sort of baptism or something. And I don't know if that's kind of like being baptized into death. I don't know, because they say something. It's like this refreshing bath, and then it's almost like they forget not necessarily their sorrows, but they forget their traveling sorrows. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It cleanses everything that's come from them from the journey. Yeah. Right. So like the blisters on their feet and like the weariness of their hands, but they're still just as old and have all the memories. But it just exactly.
Yeah. So then he sends her down, and I think the oldest man of all, the little child, I think
yes,
I think it's a return to childlikeness. Like that's kind of the ideal state, is like you're trying to get back to kind of the Garden of Eden in a way, and you're not childish, because he's not like childish. This child isn't. No, like, he knows everything.
He's a genius. Yeah.
And but I think it's kind of this getting back to this state of innocence that everybody wants, and he's just sitting there. But I think he's playing. Is he playing with like the rainbow. What is he? I don't remember what he's doing. He's playing with some sort of like balls or marbles, and I can't
I
remember if
think it's
they're different
bowls.
colors.
I think it's bowls.
Oh,
Because I
okay.
remember thinking, what? How do you play with bowls?
I don't know what he was doing.
I think it was color with all the colors of the rain. I think it was.
Might have been, yeah. I don't know. But then I think she says she stands there and she stares, and then all of a sudden 7 years have passed and she didn't
Yep.
even notice. But then all of a sudden he did something with the balls and it just clicks in her head. And she said, what does it say? Like,
Or maybe it's balls. I don't know.
she knew everything all at once, kind of understood the whole universe, but it wasn't in her knowing or something
Yep.
like that. It's something weird like that. She understood everything, but not in her knowing. And then she talks to him, and then he sends her. He draws a line in the ground, and I don't know if there's an egg. Is there an egg? Oh man, I gotta look now.
I think
if
there
there's
is
an egg.
I think there is an egg.
What? Because there's an egg in the beginning. The rainbow.
Yeah,
egg.
find that in the book. Find that in the
let's
book.
See.
I don't know
Yeah,
what my copy
he took
is.
something out like an egg from under it. He turned up a great stone and took out something like an egg from under it. Yep. He next drew a long curved line in the sand with his finger and laid the egg in it. He then spoke something Tangle could not understand. The egg broke, a small snake came out, and lying in the line in the sand grew and grew until he filled it. The moment he was thus full grown, he began to glide away, undulating like a sea wave. So there's this weird freaking thread. So there's this egg in the beginning, then there's an egg there, and then this serpent crawls away like a sea wave, and Mossy has to walk across the sea.
And he's walking across the sea.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it.
I don't know what any of it means, but I love it.
Yep. Yeah, it's this tapestry woven together, and you're just like, man, somehow it just fits, and it
feels very genius.
Yeah,
and I feel dumb for not being able to understand it. But the crazy thing is, and I want to keep talking about the story itself for a second, but
yeah,
the best part of this to me, I think, is that it's written as a children's book, and it's for children. And and there's a part of me that, like, I feel like to understand this book the way that I'm supposed to, I'm almost supposed to turn my logical thinking cap off and just be kind of sucked into the whimsical nature of it. And that's exactly how like a child would listen to it if it were read as a story.
I also kind of get the impression that that's how you wrote it, but I could be wrong. Like, I don't think he was writing it from an intellectual point. I think he was just writing a good story, and it just wove itself together. Like, I really think he just tapped into something. Like, people would say, like, people that play music will say they tap into the muse or whatever, like this kind of genius out there. I feel like it's kind of the same. That's kind of what the impression I get, but I could be wrong. He could have sat there and been like, oh, this has to, like,
no,
from reading his other writings, I'm like, he does not come across that way at all.
I agree with that too.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know,
but so I don't exactly know what to make of the three. I like the idea of getting back to the Garden of Eden, the all-powerful, all-knowing, childlike. So what's with the old man of the sea, and when he says, oh, but you're young, when Mossy sees him and he sees something different,
and he says, am I feel very old, or something like that. I feel so old.
Oh, and then he says, like, you see me differently than what other people see me, because most people see me coming and they're afraid.
I think I get the impression,
oh, he's death or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I get the impression because he's at the end of the journey.
Yeah,
you can't walk any farther. You've come to the ocean. It's the end of the sea. Like, this is literally like clicking as we're talking. Like, I know, me too. Yeah, it's weird. So this is the impression I get, and I feel like she gets to him and he looks older because I think she dies first. That's kind of what I think. Okay. And so she dies, I wouldn't say in the prime of her life, but she hasn't lived as long.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, and if she dies first, and then Mossy is following, looking for her, death wouldn't look as scary, and it wouldn't look as old. And if you're older, the older you are, the younger people look too. Like, like, you know.
That's interesting. Yeah,
you get to, when you're 20 and you meet a 30-year-old, he's older, but then when you're 50, the 30-year-old looks like a little kid, you know. So that's kind of what I thought, and that's why he says, you see me better than most, because he kind of had this clarity of like, oh, he's not some dreaded old man. Like, the end of my life is not some dreaded thing right now. It's like I'm kind of almost ready, because he says, I'm tired. I've been walking for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
he says,
That's yeah.
yeah. Then
Well,
he gets in the bath or something. And he's like, my feet hurt. And like you said, I think you brought that up earlier. He's like, he realizes his feet don't hurt anymore or something.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was the first thing that I kind of caught on to when I read that was the reason why he sees him differently is because of the journey that he had that she did not have. And it was because it lasted a lot longer.
Yeah.
But she reached him first. You're right. She reached him a lot sooner.
Yeah.
And then, so what I was reading it through the first time, and the Old Man of the Sea says, when most people see me, they're afraid, but you like welcome me or something. That was when I thought, oh, he's like the Grim Reaper. Yeah. He's dead.
He could be. He could be. I mean, it's like kind of like that painting I drew a while back, like where I had the Grim Reaper on one side and then like an angel on the other.
Yeah.
And it's like they're both death. It's just how if you're ready to go, like if you're living your life and ready to go, then like death is not a scary thing. It's just an angel to escort you home or something, or it's the Grim Reaper if you're
right,
don't have a clear conscience and living.
Exactly. So I think they die, and then the water, I thought of baptism too, but I don't know.
It seems like some sort of weird cleansing. I don't know.
I'm not exactly sure.
So back to this question: is there any impressions on why he walked across the sea? The old man directs him to walk across the sea, and she has to go basically to the center of the earth.
I know, that's what I was getting to too.
Turn like you said. Let's turn off the thinking. Like, does it feel right? Is there any intuition? Like, does that even feel right? Like, if you're just gonna write a story like that, and the girls come to the point of death, and has to like maybe make a little bit more of a journey before that you can go ascend the stairs to heaven or whatever that is. Like there's a little bit more of the journey. Like, does it make sense? Like, is there just some sort of inner intuition where like, oh, that makes sense that she would have to go this way and he would go across the ocean? What are your?
I don't know. I'm just gonna
does it
go
feel
from
right?
the gut, like super intuition, right? Yeah, it feels right to me. Why? You have a guy and you have a girl, and they both went on a journey, and the girl has a really hard time, and I think girls have a really hard time with everything in general. Like being a mother is probably, childbearing.
I was just thinking like that should be the title of this video now.
Girls have a really hard time with everything. No, I feel like there's a lot that is goes under the radar. With like the entire female experience, and I think the guy's journey is more simple and maybe a little bit longer. I don't know. That's just my initial.
I mean, I think it feels right to me too. I'm not really quite sure why, because
it's also more complicated than guys. That's also something I was thinking about.
I didn't know if it maybe had something to do with Mother Earth, because she basically, so the girl at Tangle, by the end of the story, she's basically the grandmother. From what it seems like to me.
She had the dress on and the hair.
And the hair was barefoot, just sitting there. She basically gets transformed through her journey into the grandmother. And when she sees him at the end, she says, "Oh, you're like the old man of the sea. No, you're like the old man of the earth. No, you're like the old man of the fire. No, you're like all three. You're my very own Mossy," or something like that. And it's like they both go through this transformation, but he never even met. Like, he met the old man of the sea. He never met the other two. It's odd. I'm not sure why that works that way, because it's like she goes to the heart of the earth. So I'm like, there could be something there about Mother Earth and her just like kind of becoming the great divine mother or something through that process. I don't really know. But then at the same time, it's like she sees him as all three in a way too. So I don't know. There's something there.
There's something there. I want to put my thinking cap back on.
Someone else is probably going to pick up on this and be like, "I know what it is." And I'm almost like, don't tell me. don't tell me. Like I kind of like the mystery of it. I don't know.
I kind of like the mystery
because it feels like there's a connection between her having to dig or take this journey even further down into the center, like into the heart of the earth, where she understands everything, and somehow that's connected to him in a way, even though they're not together anymore. It's still like they're still, I don't know. And I don't really know what do you sorry, what are your thoughts on that first? I don't know. With your thinking cap back on.
I have no idea. Well, so the first thing, I mean, the whole like girls have a harder time with everything. I that was just my gut like reaction to the thought that the girl has a longer journey to go.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounded like she went through more suffering.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
I don't know why either.
She goes through a place of intense heat. Like it sounds, yeah.
Other than, I mean, if we think about the difference between guys and girls, the only difference is one can bear children and create life, you know. And I don't know. Okay, so then thinking cap back on, thinking like symbolically, the three different layers: death to something else, to something else. Why would she have to journey to the center of the earth to become the feminine, the mother nature? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, because this is us putting like, which like we said, we don't like to do, because I think this story should be left a mystery. So this is us just like,
right, yeah,
trying
to rambling.
Yeah. So like them coming to the Man of the Sea, that I don't know that means death necessarily, and that there's a further journey beyond it. But it's just like this is kind of just a guess at that. Yeah, I don't know. So, but going with that thought, I'm not really sure. It's this weird sort of transformation of like, I don't know, man. Yeah, it's crazy.
She also didn't need the key to get where she was going. He did.
Yeah, and she had to kind of almost wait on him to have the key.
She went the long and hard way.
It's weird. Like it makes the story so much better, because it's like, I know they were reconnected in the end. Like even if she had to wait for God knows how long, because she says like she stared at the child for 7 years, didn't even notice. It's like, how long was she waiting in that room? I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
But she says it was a long time. Yeah, I don't know.
I also thought,
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say that was something that I thought about and chewed on for a while, is the fact that she said that he looked like all three.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what it means.
I don't know.
But the thought that the person that you had all along is kind of like the combination of all of your experiences, all the best parts of all of your like all the goodness actually was with you the entire time, sort of. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what it means.
Yeah, I like that. So I got another question. I know I just realized what time it is. I know you probably got to go.
Oh yeah, probably kind of soon, but
yeah,
no rush.
Is him walking across the ocean though? Like, was it
okay? Yeah, let's get back to that.
Like, yeah, do you have any thoughts on that or no? Because she had to go through the earth. I don't know why he didn't. Like, he just, I mean, like I said, it feels right, but I'm not really sure why.
What do you think? I might need to hear your thoughts before I'm not sure.
He says your feet will not make holes in the water anymore. So the old man of the sea tells him, and then he just starts walking out across the ocean, and I think it sounds like, when I read it the second time, I think I've read the story twice, and when I read it the second time, it sounded, going from her story straight back to the boys, it sounds like, oh, he had the easy go of it. But then when I read it a second time, it sounded like the journey across the ocean was probably just as hard. I just don't think it's not described as in much detail, because I think it says like he's having to climb over wave after wave, and it's just endless, and there's like storms he goes through and stuff. I think.
Does it say that? Oh, that's so interesting.
I don't know.
I don't remember that. Maybe it does, and I just missed it.
I should not just make that up, actually.
Yeah, that's an important point.
Yeah. Tasted of death now. Is it good? Oh yeah, I forgot he said that. The old man tells him that. when he takes the bath, I think he says, "You have tasted of death now. Is it good?"
Oh yeah, that's pretty obvious.
And he says, and Mossy says, "It is good. It is better than life." "No," said the old man, "it is only more life. Your feet will not make holes in the water now." I loved that part.
I
So
love
what he
that.
said, across the waste of waters, against the bosom of a fierce black cloud, stood the foot of a rainbow glowing in the dark. This is the way. So he says he walks out. He fought the wind and clomb the waves and went on towards the rainbow. The storm died away. So I guess there was a storm, but it's like, that's all it says. Like, it says the storm died away. So it doesn't really, like, that's what I mean. It doesn't really go into detail. I don't know if you're supposed to think, because he says he fought the wind, he clomb the waves. A cool wind blew over the wide plain to the quiet ocean, and still Mossy journeyed eastward.
Yeah.
But the rainbow had vanished with the storm. Day after day he held on, and he thought he had no guide. He did not know how a shining fish under the waters was directing his steps. He crossed the sea and came to a great precipice of rock. Yeah, so it's like very short. His journey is just kind of like summed up in these few sentences, but it makes it, I don't know, I kind of wonder if it was, or it could be like really not that long, because he could have been walking through the land of shadows a lot longer than she was. I don't really know.
I'm not sure. I mean, again, I really do like thinking about this whimsically, like a child would.
Yeah.
I like the idea of having met death and then being able to walk on top of something that otherwise would have swallowed you whole.
Ooh,
right? So
good.
like if we talk about like oceans in the Bible, there's a lot of very heavy parallels and symbolism between the sea and chaos, or the sea and darkness. And now that you have tasted of death, you can just walk on top of it. It's like you're not bound by that constraint anymore. Does that make sense? That's kind of where I went immediately.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, kind of like the waters of chaos and the waters of death. And now that he's tasted of death, he can just walk across it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
And there's still waves, but he can just walk over them instead of getting like thrown over by them.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah.
That's kind of what I was thinking, was almost like a superpower. Like, yeah, you're on your way and you've been released from this thing. Like how she was ate of the soup, and then she was able to talk to the animals and like get in tune with nature that way. He was able to over it. Like the whole that's kind of the thought that I had.
Ah, that's good, man. I didn't even notice that connection too. There is like this weird thread. Yeah, like they eat with the lady at the beginning, and then when they get to Old Man of the Sea, I think he eats of the, or at least maybe they don't have a soup. I can't remember if they have a soup there.
I don't remember if they have a soup or not. I think they have something.
It might just be the bath. I can't remember. I don't know. But the bath, I guess, kind of is this baptism into death, because you have tasted of death now. Yeah, anyway, I don't know. Well, hopefully it's mysterious enough. Man, this was a lot of fun. I can let you go. Sorry, I kept you like half an hour longer.
No, man, it's really no problem. Is there anything else before we go?
I don't know. Yeah, you can. Anything?
I'm trying to think. Love the story. It was a great story.
Yeah, this is weird. This is like one of our only conversations where we actually stayed on a topic.
I know. It's great. What was the name of that one that you did with me? It was like test tube babies and combo number 5.
Oh yeah, we were bouncing all over there.
I said like test tube babies are like ordering at McDonald's.
Yeah, because technology now is like, I can get my baby how I want it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I just thought the story was really profound, and I think a big thing that I got away with it was it's a story about life and about the goodness of life and the little speckles of goodness that are on the way, and people are waiting, and people walk with you, and then they will be there at the end, and it's just a very happy happy story, full of hope. That's even good. Like the scary parts didn't even seem that scary. That's why I think of like a video of like, if you saw like clips of all of your life and the hard moments and the good moments, you would see it all as beautiful at the end of your life, even if it was terrible at the time. And that is a blessing. So
that's good, man. Nice. Good way to end it.